She sat near the window watching the rain fall slowly from the sky. The world outside was alive, but inside her heart there was only silence. Her name was Anna, and for many years she had carried a heavy secret. A secret that broke her dreams, her relationships, and her soul. From childhood, Anna always wanted one thing more than anything. She wanted a family of her own. She dreamed of holding a baby in her arms, of feeling tiny hands wrap around her fingers. She dreamed of building a warm home filled with laughter. But life gave her a different story. When Anna was 25, she went for a regular medical checkup. She thought it would be something simple, just another day, but the doctor's words changed her forever. "You cannot have children," he said softly. Those words felt like sharp glass cutting through her heart. She tried to smile. She tried to act strong, but inside she was breaking. At first she told herself that maybe it was a mistake. Maybe the doctor was wrong. She searched for other doctors, second opinions, treatments, but every answer was the same. Each time she heard those words again, the wound inside her grew deeper. Days turned into months, and months into years. She carried her secret like a heavy stone. Whenever friends spoke about marriage or children, she smiled, but inside she cried. When they showed her baby pictures, she congratulated them, but her heart whispered, "Why not me?" Anna's first relationship after the news was full of hope. She thought love would be enough. She thought her partner would stay by her side no matter what. One evening, with trembling hands, she told him the truth. At first, he held her and said it didn't matter, but days later his calls became less, his visits shorter. Soon he told her he wanted someone who could give him a real family, and he left. That was the first time she truly felt abandoned. She sat alone that night, holding a pillow against her chest, crying until her eyes turned red. She told herself she would never open her heart again. But hearts are strange, they always hope for love. The second man she trusted seemed kinder. He promised her forever. He said he didn't care about children. But when his family found out, they pressured him. They told him a woman who couldn't have children was a burden. He listened to them, and one cold morning he walked away, leaving her with only silence. Every rejection made Anna believe she was broken. She felt like a flower without petals. Everyone else seemed to move forward. Her friends posted happy photos of babies, birthdays, and family gatherings. But Anna's life was quiet, her nights filled with tears no one saw. She began to fear people. She stopped attending family events because relatives always asked, "When will you have children?" Every question was like a knife in her heart. Sometimes she wanted to scream the truth, but she stayed silent. In the dark corners of her room, Anna asked herself many times, "Am I enough? Who will ever love me?" These questions never left her. They followed her like shadows, yet deep inside, there was a small flame. Even when life pushed her down, she still hoped for love. She hoped that maybe one day, someone would see her not as a broken woman, but as a complete person. But for now, the truth was heavy. She could not have children, and no one wanted to start a family with her. That was the lonely truth she carried. And as the rain tapped against the glass, her tears fell quietly, mixing with the sound of the storm. The world outside kept moving. Cars passed, people laughed. Children played under umbrellas, but Anna's world stood still. She sat with her secret, with her pain, with her unanswered dreams. In that moment, she believed she was destined to walk alone forever. But destiny had a way of surprising her. And this was only the beginning of her story. Anna's days began to look the same. Morning light would slip through her curtains, but she no longer felt joy when she opened her eyes. She moved through her house like a quiet shadow, cooking, cleaning, working. But nothing touched her heart. Her life was empty, and she knew it. On weekends, Anna's friends would gather for small parties. They laughed about their children's silly jokes. They shared videos of birthdays and school events. Anna smiled politely, but inside she felt like an outsider. She could not join their laughter, because every story reminded her of what she could never have. When the nights came, her loneliness grew heavier. She sat on the edge of her bed, scrolling through pictures on social media. Everywhere she looked, there were happy families, fathers holding babies, mothers hugging children, couples posting about their perfect life. Anna's chest tightened as she whispered, "Why is my life so different?" She tried to distract herself. She read books, watched movies, and listened to music. But even in the movies, families always appeared. Happy endings always included children running around. It felt like the world was reminding her of her missing piece, again and again. The house around her was silent, so silent that even the ticking clock felt loud. Sometimes she placed a chair at the dining table and imagined someone sitting across from her. Sometimes she spoke out loud, pretending someone was listening. But when her own voice echoed back at her, the emptiness felt sharper. Anna decided to pour her energy into work. If she could not build a family, at least she could build a career. She stayed late at the office, worked on every project, and became the most dependable person in her team. People admired her dedication. They called her strong, independent, and successful. But they did not see the truth. They did not see the tears she wiped away in the bathroom when no one was watching. The truth was, Anna was tired of being strong. She was tired of acting brave when her heart was aching. She wanted someone to hold her and tell her it was okay to be weak. But no one came. Her parents loved her, but even they did not understand. They asked carefully, "When will you give us grandchildren?" Anna forced a smile, changed the topic, and went to her room where she cried silently into her pillow. She wished she could tell them the truth, but fear of pity stopped her. She did not want anyone's sympathy. She wanted acceptance. There were nights when Anna opened old photo albums. Pictures of her childhood filled the pages. In many of them, she was holding a doll, smiling brightly. As a little girl, she always pretended to be a mother, feeding the doll, singing lullabies. Her dreams had been so innocent, so simple. But now those dreams felt like broken glass beneath her feet. The loneliness turned into a heavy weight, pressing on her every day. Sometimes, she wondered if she should just stop trying to find love. Maybe her destiny was to live alone, to stay in her silent house forever. She told herself that she was enough. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "You are not complete." Anna began avoiding gatherings. She told friends she was busy. She ignored calls. She thought it was better to stay away than to feel the sting of comparison. At home, she made tea for one, dinner for one every single day. Her life became a routine of silence. But even in that emptiness, her heart kept searching. Every time she saw couples walking hand in hand, she imagined herself in their place. Every time she saw a child laugh, she wished she could be part of that world. Hope was still alive in her, but it was buried under layers of pain. One evening, Anna sat on a park bench. Families were playing around her. Children ran with balloons. Parents chased them. The air was full of laughter. Anna held her bag tightly and kept her eyes down. But her heart ached. She thought, maybe I am invisible. Maybe I do not belong in this world. As the sun went down, the shadows grew longer. Anna realized how alone she truly felt. The world was full of connections, yet she had none. The emptiness in her life was not only about children, it was about love, care, and belonging. Without those things, her life felt like an empty room, echoing with her own footsteps. Still, a quiet strength kept her standing. Each day she woke up and continued. Even though she carried invisible wounds, she lived through the loneliness, holding on to the fragile hope that maybe one day her story would change. For now, Anna's life was silent. A life where smiles were practiced, laughter was forced, and tears were hidden. A life where every day looked the same. But deep inside her heart, a storm of emotions never stopped. That was Anna's empty life, a life waiting for someone to step in, a life waiting for one moment that could change everything. Anna thought she had already felt the worst pain. She believed that hearing the doctor's words was the deepest cut. But life showed her that rejection could hurt even more. Rejection did not just touch the body, it touched the soul. It made her feel unwanted, unseen, and unloved. Her first rejection came like a storm. At that time, she was still full of hope. She thought love could conquer anything. She met Daniel, a man who made her laugh, who made her believe in forever. For months, their relationship was beautiful. He told her she was special. He held her hand in public. He promised her the stars. One evening, sitting in a quiet cafe, Anna decided to share her truth. Her hands shook as she whispered, "I cannot have children." Daniel froze. His smile disappeared. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he forced a smile and told her, "It doesn't matter." Anna wanted to believe him, but deep down, she felt the crack. Weeks passed, and Daniel changed. His calls became shorter, his words colder. He stopped talking about the future. Finally, one night, he told her, "I want a real family. I want children. I'm sorry, but I can't stay." Anna's heart shattered. She watched him walk away, taking with him all the promises he once made. That night, she cried until her pillow was wet. She felt abandoned, like a broken toy left in the corner. But Daniel was not the only one. Another man entered her life months later. His name was Michael. He was gentle, patient, and kind. He said he did not care about children. He told her love was enough. Anna wanted to believe him. For a while, she felt safe again. Then one day, Michael's family learned the truth. They did not see Anna as a woman. They saw her as a problem. They whispered in his ear, telling him she was a burden. They told him that marriage without children was meaningless. At first, Michael defended her, but slowly, their voices grew louder than his love. One morning, he came to her house, his eyes heavy with guilt. He said, "I can't go against my family, I'm sorry." And just like that, he was gone. Anna stood at the door long after he left, staring at the empty street. Her heart screamed, "Why am I never enough?" But her lips stayed silent. She closed the door and leaned against it, sliding down until she sat on the floor. Her tears fell, but no one was there to catch them. Every rejection left a scar, and each scar whispered the same lie. "You are broken. You are unwanted." She started to believe those whispers. Whenever she looked into the mirror, she did not see a strong woman. She saw someone who was not worthy of love. Even in her daily life, the pain followed her. At work, her colleagues spoke about their families, about taking their children to school, about planning holidays. Anna sat quietly, pretending to be busy. She feared the question that always came, "Do you have kids?" Her smile hid her truth, but inside she was breaking again and again. There were moments when she thought about giving up on love completely. Why open her heart when it would only be crushed? Why hope for someone who would never stay? But the human heart is strange. Even when it is bruised and torn, it still beats with hope. Late at night, Anna would whisper to herself, "Maybe the next one will be different. Maybe there is someone out there who will see me, not my weakness." But morning always came with reality, and reality was cold. She remembered the cruel words of one man she once dated briefly. He looked at her with pity and said, "You can't give me what I want. I need a woman who can be a real mother." Those words cut deeper than a knife. For days she could not eat, could not sleep. The sentence replayed in her head like a broken record. Society was not kinder either. Neighbors made comments, relatives asked questions. Even strangers sometimes looked at her differently when they learned her truth. It was as if the world had placed a label on her forehead, incomplete. But Anna was still human. She still dreamed. She still longed for love, even after all the rejections. A small voice inside her whispered, "Do not give up. Someone will stay. Someone will choose you." And yet, as the days turned into nights, she carried the heavy fear that no one ever would. The pain of rejection shaped her life. It made her cautious. It made her hide her heart behind walls. But behind those walls, she was still waiting, still hoping. The harsh rejections had broken her in many ways, but they had also shaped her story. And though she did not know it yet, her journey was far from over. Anna never planned to meet him. In fact, she had stopped expecting anything new from life. She went to work, came home, ate alone, and repeated the same routine. Love had left scars, and she no longer trusted people with her heart. She told herself, "No more pain, no more false promises." Destiny often comes when no one is ready. It came to Anna on an ordinary afternoon. She was walking through the park after work. Her bag was heavy, her steps slow. Her mind was filled with thoughts of loneliness. She chose a quiet bench under a tree, hoping to rest for a while. That was when she noticed him. A man was sitting not too far away, reading a book. His face was calm, his eyes focused. He looked ordinary, yet there was something peaceful about him. When a small child ran by and accidentally dropped a toy, the man picked it up and gave it back with a gentle smile. That simple kindness caught Anna's attention. She looked away quickly, reminding herself not to care. But her heart, tired of sadness, noticed the little things. The way he greeted an old man passing by, the way he laughed softly at the pages of his book. He seemed different. Fate pushed them closer. A strong wind blew, scattering Anna's papers from her bag across the ground. Panic filled her as the pages flew everywhere. Before she could move, the man rushed to help. Together they chased the papers, laughing awkwardly as they picked them up. When all the papers were safe, he handed them back and said, "You should hold them tighter next time." His voice was warm, not mocking. Anna smiled shyly and whispered, "Thank you." It had been a long time since she had smiled without forcing it. They sat on the same bench, not talking at first. Silence surrounded them, but it was not heavy. Slowly, they began to exchange words, simple questions at first. "Do you come here often?" "What do you do?" His name was David. He worked nearby. He liked reading in the park because it made him feel alive. Anna found herself listening more than speaking. His voice was calm, his laughter gentle. Unlike others she had met, he did not ask personal questions. Right away, he did not talk about family or children. He only spoke about the small joys of life: books, coffee, music, and nature. For the first time in years, Anna felt safe in a conversation. She did not feel judged. She did not feel small. When the evening light dimmed and she had to leave, David stood up and said, "Maybe I will see you here again." His words were simple, but they stayed in her heart all night. The next week, she returned to the park, not knowing why. Perhaps she wanted fresh air, or maybe she wanted to see him again. And there he was, sitting on the same bench, reading again. When their eyes met, he smiled, and she felt a warmth she had almost forgotten. Days turned into weeks, and their meetings became a quiet routine. Sometimes they talked for hours. Sometimes they just sat in silence, watching the world move around them. Anna found herself laughing more, smiling more. She began to feel alive in a way she thought was lost. But with every new moment of happiness, fear also grew. Her heart whispered, "What if he finds out the truth? What if he leaves too?" She remembered Daniel, Michael, and all the others who had walked away. The fear of rejection lived inside her. She built walls around her heart, afraid to let him in completely. David, however, never pushed. He respected her silences. He never asked questions that made her uncomfortable. Instead, he simply stayed. His presence became her comfort, like a candle in a dark room. One rainy evening, when they shared an umbrella, Anna almost told him. The words sat on her tongue. "I cannot have children." But her fear stopped her. She thought, "If he leaves, I will not survive another heartbreak." So she kept the truth hidden, locked away. Still, something about David was different. He did not make her feel broken. He did not treat her like she was less. He saw her as a person, not a problem, and that scared her even more because if he left, the pain would be greater than ever before. Anna went home that night, her heart racing. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. For the first time, she asked herself, could this man really stay? Could he be the one who accepts me? The thought filled her with both hope and fear. Life had given her many harsh rejections, but now it was offering her something new. The unexpected meeting with David was like a soft light breaking through. Dark clouds, she did not know where it would lead, but she knew one thing for sure. Her story was beginning to change. Anna's life began to change in quiet ways. She laughed more often. She looked forward to evenings in the park. For years she had carried only silence. But now there was a voice beside her, a presence that felt warm and safe. David had entered. Her life like sunlight breaking into a dark room. But even with the light, shadows remained. Deep in her heart, fear lived like an unwelcome guest. Fear that history would repeat itself. Fear that David, like the others, would walk away once he knew her truth. Every smile she gave him was touched with doubt. Every moment of joy carried a whisper of pain. At night, Anna lay awake in her bed. Replaying their conversations, she thought of the way he listened to her, the way he never rushed her. He was patient, gentle, kind, but then the fear returned. What if he wants a family? What if he dreams of children? What if he leaves me, too? These thoughts circled her mind like storm clouds. One evening, as they walked together through the park, David pointed to a child flying a kite and said, "Kids have such pure happiness." Anna froze for a second. Her smile remained on her lips, but her heart sank. She nodded quietly, praying he would not say more. He did not notice her silence, but she felt the fear rise higher inside her. The closer she grew to him, the stronger the fear became. She wanted to tell him everything, to speak her truth. But each time the memory of rejection stopped her. She remembered Daniel's cold goodbye, Michael's guilty eyes, and the cruel words of the man who called her incomplete. Her heart could not risk breaking again. Instead, she built invisible walls. She laughed with him, shared stories, but never let him too close. Whenever the conversation touched on family or future, she carefully changed the topic. David noticed her hesitations, but he never pressed. His respect only made her more afraid, because it meant he cared. And if he cared, losing him would hurt even more. There were moments when Anna almost confessed. Once, as they sat watching the sunset, she turned to him and said softly, "David, there is something you should know." But his gentle smile made her heart tremble. She swallowed the words and said instead, "Isn't the sky beautiful tonight?" He agreed, and the secret remained hidden. Her fear began to shape her behavior. She answered his calls with joy, but also with anxiety. She loved their time together, but always wondered, will this end soon? Will he disappear like the rest? She became trapped between hope and fear, between love and loss. David, however, continued to show his kindness. He brought her coffee on rainy days. He walked her home when she worked late. He listened when she spoke about her struggles at work. Each act of care built trust inside her heart, and yet the fear never left. Anna's parents noticed the change in her. They saw her smiling more. They asked about David, but she only said, "He's just a friend." She was too afraid to admit how much he meant to her, because if she admitted it, she would have to face the possibility of losing it. One night, after a long day, Anna sat alone with her thoughts. She looked around her empty home. She imagined David sitting at the table, laughing, sharing a meal. For a moment, her heart filled with warmth, but then the cruel voice inside whispered, "It will never last. He will leave when he knows." Tears filled her eyes as she whispered to herself, "I don't want to lose." Again, her fear became a heavy shadow in every happy moment. When David surprised her with flowers, she smiled but thought, what if this is the last time? When he held her hand, she felt safe, but a voice inside asked, what if he lets go forever? Still, Anna could not deny the truth growing inside her. She was falling for him, every day. Her feelings grew stronger, and every day her fear grew alongside them. Love and fear lived together in her heart, fighting for space. The fear of losing again was powerful, but deep inside, another force was beginning to rise. A small voice whispered that maybe this time could be different. Maybe not every story ended in rejection. Maybe love could stay. Anna did not know the future. She did not know what David would say when he learned her truth. But she knew one thing. The fear of losing him meant she had already given him her heart, and sooner or later she would have to choose, keep hiding behind fear, or risk everything for love. The secret inside Anna had grown too heavy. For weeks she carried it like a stone pressed against her chest. Every time she looked into David's eyes, she felt warmth but also guilt. She knew she could not hide forever. She knew he deserved the truth. Her fear whispered, "If you tell him, he will leave, just like the others." But her heart whispered something softer. "If he stays, you will finally be free." Anna lived between these two voices, pulled in both directions. One evening, David invited her to a small cafe near the park. It was a quiet place, filled with soft music and warm lights. They sat by the window sipping coffee. David spoke about his day, his work, his little frustrations. Anna smiled and listened, but her heart was not calm. Her hands trembled slightly as she held her cup. As the evening went on, David leaned closer and said, "Anna, I feel like you're holding something back. You can tell me anything. You know that, right?" His words pierced her walls. Her throat tightened. The moment she had been avoiding was here. For a long silence, Anna stared at the table. The fear of losing again weighed heavy on her. She remembered Daniel's cold goodbye, Michael's guilty face, and the cruel words of rejection. Every memory screamed at her to stay quiet, but she also remembered the kindness in David's eyes, the patience in his voice, the way he never judged her. Finally, she took a deep breath. Her voice was soft but trembling. "David, there is something I must tell you." He looked at her gently, waiting, not pushing. I cannot have children," she whispered. Her heart pounded so loud she thought the whole cafe could hear it. The words hung in the air like heavy clouds. Anna could not lift her eyes. She expected silence, maybe shock, maybe pity. She braced herself for the familiar pain, for the moment when he would stand up and walk away. David did not speak at once. He sat quietly, as if letting her words sink in. Anna's hands shook as she gripped the edge of the table. Her mind screamed, "This is it, he's leaving. He's just like the others." Tears burned behind her eyes. Then David finally spoke, his voice calm and steady. "Thank you for telling me, Anna." She looked up in surprise. He was not angry, not shocked, not cold. He simply looked at her, with the same gentle eyes as before. "I know it was not easy to say," he added. Anna's lips trembled. "You don't understand. Every man I've told this to has left me. No one wants a woman who can't give them children. I don't want to lose you too." Her voice broke as tears slid down her cheeks. David reached across the table and took her hand. His touch was firm, steady. "Anna, listen to me," he said softly. "I did not come into your life for what you cannot give me. I came because of who you are." Her breath caught. She stared at him, searching for lies, but his eyes held only truth. "I know what family means to most people," he continued. "But to me, family is not just about children. It's about love, care, and standing by each other." Anna's tears fell freely now. "But what if one day you regret it? What if you leave me too?" Her voice shook with fear. David squeezed her hand gently. "The only thing I would regret is walking away from someone like you. You are not broken, Anna. You are not less. You are enough. You are more than enough." Her heart ached with relief and disbelief. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever seen her beyond her pain. The walls around her heart cracked, letting in the warmth she had been denying herself for years. They sat in silence for a moment, but it was not the heavy silence of fear. It was the calm silence of truth. Anna realized she had finally spoken her secret, and instead of losing, she had gained something far greater. That night, as they walked out of the cafe, Anna felt lighter. The world outside looked the same. Cars, passing, lights glowing, people talking. But inside her, everything was different. She had confessed her deepest fear, and for the first time, she was not left alone. David walked beside her, holding her hand. His presence felt steady, like a promise. Anna looked at him and thought, maybe this is what family feels like. Maybe family begins with love. Her journey was far from over, but something inside her had shifted. The fear was still there, but it was no longer stronger than her hope. She had spoken her truth and he had stayed. That was the beginning of something new, something she had always dreamed of but never believed she could have. The night of the confession changed everything. For years, Anna had carried her secret like a heavy chain. Now it was finally spoken, and she was still not alone. She could not believe it. She kept replaying David's words in her mind. You are not broken. You are enough. Those words healed wounds she thought would never close. In the days that followed, Anna noticed small changes in herself. She walked with lighter steps. She smiled without forcing it. The fear inside her still whispered sometimes, but it was weaker now, because she had seen proof that love could stay. David did not treat her any differently after her confession. He was the same man as before, still kind, still patient, still steady. But for Anna, every moment with him felt more precious. Every word he spoke was a reminder that she was not defined by what she lacked, but by who she was. One weekend, they visited a children's home together. David explained that he sometimes volunteered there. Anna hesitated at first, afraid the sight of children might hurt her, but when she saw their bright eyes and innocent laughter, something inside her shifted. Instead of pain, she felt warmth. She played with them, listened to their stories, and for the first time, she felt that motherhood was not only about giving birth, but about giving love. On the way home, David turned to her and said softly, "Family is not always about blood. Sometimes family is the love we choose to give." Anna looked at him, her heart trembling. She realized then that he had always understood. He had never judged her because his idea of family was bigger than society's narrow definition. Weeks passed and their bond grew stronger. Anna began to see a future she once thought impossible. Not a future filled with fear and rejection, but a future filled with love and acceptance. She pictured a small home where laughter lived, not because of what they had, but because of what they shared. One evening, as they walked under the soft glow of streetlights, David stopped and looked at her seriously. "Anna," he said, "I want you to know something." Her heart skipped a beat, afraid of what he might say, but then his lips curved into a gentle smile. "I choose you. I don't care about what the world thinks. I don't care about what we cannot have. What matters is what we can build together. And with you, I want to build a life." Tears filled Anna's eyes, but they were not the same tears of sorrow she had cried for years. They were tears of relief, of healing, of joy. For the first time, she believed she was truly loved, not for her ability to give children, but for the person she was. Their days together became chapters of happiness. Small things turned into treasures. Cooking dinner together, sharing stories, sitting in the park. Every moment reminded Anna that family was not measured by numbers or traditions, but by love. When friends and relatives asked questions about the future, Anna no longer felt broken. She no longer hid behind silence. Instead, she smiled and said, "We are happy. We are building our own family." Some people understood, some did not. But it no longer mattered because she had found someone who chose her completely. One rainy evening, David surprised her with adoption papers. He said, "I want us to give love to a child who needs it. We may not create life, but we can create a home." Anna's heart swelled with emotions too deep for words. She realized then that her story had come full circle. From a woman who thought she was incomplete, she had become a woman whose love could complete someone else's world. The journey had not been easy. She had known loneliness, rejection, and despair. But all of it had led her here, to a place where she was not defined by her wounds, but by her strength and love. Sitting beside David, holding his hand, Anna whispered, "Thank you for making me believe again. Thank you for making me your family." He kissed her forehead gently and replied, "You were always enough, Anna, always." And so, her story that began with tears of loss ended with tears of joy. Her life that once felt empty was now filled with love. Her heart that once feared rejection now embraced belonging. Anna had learned the greatest truth of all. Family is not only about blood or children. Family is about love. Family is about choosing each other every single day. And in David's love, she had finally found her forever home.